Welcome back everyone to part 4 of the Canadian solar kiln build series. I'm your host Johnny with Heart to Home Woodworking, and in this week's video I'm going to be putting the siding on the solar kiln, hooking up the solar panel and the fans, and hopefully load it. Maybe not for this video, we'll do that next video. If you guys are new to the series or the channel, be sure to check out the first parts of the series here up in this corner, okay? I'll catch you guys later. So my siding of choice is going to be board and batten. I want to keep the same kind of look with all the outbuildings on our property here. So basically it consists of boards, which are just rough sawn planks, and battens, which are just thin strips in between to hide the gaps. It's really simple to build and it gives it a nice look. What are you doing? Look at that tail. My lumber of choice is 3/4 inch rough cut Western white pine milled by my dad. Western white pine is relatively soft as compared to something like Douglas fir, which is great for structural timbers and whatnot and framing, whereas Western white pine is definitely better off as a siding. So the first step is just to cut the bottom off here because I don't need all this. I marked it using that little trick I showed you guys in the last video. And I'm just going to take my tin snips and just cut along my mark. Alright, so I made a boo-boo. The entire time I was thinking, oh, I'll just do this, right? Nail up into the header here, or at least that's what I thought, but it's not going to give me a great hold. So my options are release all the screws off the bottom, that way I could get my, my nail gun right up in there. Or the more difficult option is I could even just rip off all this Tyvek, take out the insulation, and then put blocking in here so I could just nail it right across. But that's a lot of extra work. I'm just gonna try releasing the screws off the bottom here, lifting it up, that way I can get my nail gun right up against in here. But the next problem is my miter saw can only do a 45-degree maximum bevel cut, whereas this is a 55-degree slope. Okay, so I came up with an idea because I didn't like having that 45 degrees. So I just took some scrap pieces of wood, effectively raising the angle, and that now gives me roughly a 55-degree slope. So improvise, adapt, and overcome. One thing I like about board and batten is you can have some pretty unique boards. They all hide very well. So it's important to note that I'm using fresh cut lumber. Okay, if this was already kiln dried, then I would leave almost probably 3/4 inch to an inch gap in between. That way you use less boards, but these boards are gonna shrink. So that way when I put the battens on, if I butt them up after they shrink, there's gonna be a good 3/4 inch gap, maybe even an inch by the time these dry up, I guarantee it. So as I'm putting the siding on, it's like I could feel a blast of hot air coming out. Obviously, natural convection, right? I go over and I grab a temperature sensor and I go put it in here, and it's so far 51 degrees and climbing. So it's pretty warm. It's not even fully sealed up yet. That's a good sign. See how this works? Okay, I'm gonna try and walk you guys through this. So I'm gonna square off the ends because, again, these are all rough cut, not store-bought. Okay, I've got my last piece that I cut. The pieces are going up like this, right? And what we want is to find this angle up here, okay? But all I do is I butt it up. Now I just flip it because then I can get it all nice and squared up on here. But really, all you have to do is line your bottom edge up and put your mark right here. Bring it to 55. And now you should have the perfect piece, and it is. I hope that helps, guys. I really do. So now we'll check it out here. It's very simple. I'll check back in with you guys when I get to that door. Okay, so now that I'm at the door, I'm just gonna take this hardware off. I put some wedges in the door to keep it nice and snug, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna nail the board right on here, and then I'll take my saw and I'll just cut it right out, okay? I know what you're thinking. Oh, Johnny, it changes angles now. No problem. Make your same cut. We know the back slope is 35, so we'll set it to 35. I just measured up top. It's about an inch up. About is good enough for me. Line up my mark. Let's see if I got it first try. Oh, come on, baby. Yeah, that's how you do it. So now I measured over before I put these boards on, 31.5 to the bottom. Bugger, I don't got my level. Now get yourself something straight. Line up your marks. Do, 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 do. I'm now good to go ahead and cut the rest of the door out. Hinges are hooked up. Why you no open? So I was getting stuck here. So all I did was I just took my saw, cut a 45-degree chamfer, and now it's beautiful. Well, it was just smoking a minute ago and it had a really bad smell. Looks like my table saw has finally bit the biscuit. Great. More money. I'll just toss that over here. Randy, watch out. Ah! Good riddance. So I had my dad come over and just help me with the wiring, because electrical is my least favorite. I'll just show you what we did here. This is a 200 watt panel, and all we did was tie into the panel connectors. Okay, my dad had this bracket already made, so we just wired it right in. As you can see, it's a fairly overcast day, and the fans are just spinning probably around 200 RPM. This is kind of what I wanted for an overcast day. I wanted it to be able to spin just a bit. All we did was tie in, okay, and then we ran it along the back. You'll notice that we ran them in parallel, not in series, off of the panel. This allows for even distribution of power between the two fans. If you were to run them in series, the first fan would draw more power than the second fan, if that makes sense, okay? skill saw could be used as a table saw, just not as nice. One would think I'm in Vancouver today with the way the weather is, you know? It was sunny 15 minutes ago and now it's downpouring again. Like, ah! All right. Okay, so that didn't work. All right, let's try this again. No! No! Last piece, and I got it wrong. Ah, now I gotta cut another one. I was all excited and I rushed it. Do this again. Woohoo! Last nail done. Oh. Yes! That's how you build a solar kiln. Sort of. There's a few hiccups along the way, but that's okay. That's pretty much it for this week's video. I'm not going to give you guys a tour in this one. That's going to be in the next video, where I also go through the whole breakdown of inventory, materials, and the cost of everything. That way it gives you guys a better idea for your projects, okay? Thank you very much for watching. I'm Johnny with Heart to Home Woodworking, and I need a beer. Homebrew. Nothing like a cold beer after a hard day's work, right?